My narcissistic sister threw me and my daughter out of our parents' house. Now my parents can't pay the mortgage and are begging me to help. I'm 33. I have a 5-year-old daughter. And I'm a single mother. I divorced my husband almost immediately after giving birth because he cheated on me during my pregnancy and in the postpartum period. I cut him out of my life and moved in with my parents. 2 days ago, I came home from work and saw my younger sister, Ava. She's 29, with a huge pregnant belly. After her wedding, she moved to Croatia with her husband. I was glad she moved because she always behaved horribly towards me. She never loved me. There was no specific reason for her hatred. She just thought she was better than me. She turned our parents against me, and as the younger one, she got away with everything. Although she is younger, she's physically large and strong, while I am small and thin. If she grabbed me by the wrist, I wouldn't be able to break free. Anyone who saw us would understand that I couldn't fight her on equal terms. But my parents didn't believe me when I complained that she was bullying me. They would say, "She's your younger sister, she wouldn't have the strength." So I kept my distance from her, trying not to talk to her at all unless it was absolutely necessary. Fortunately, I moved to another city for high school, and it was a real relief. And now this monster is back in my life. Seeing that she was pregnant, I thought she had come for our parents to help her after the birth. I asked my mom how long she was staying. Ava heard me and yelled from the living room, "I'm going to live here." You don't like it? God, she hadn't changed at all. Still the same narcissistic. My mom said that Ava's husband had been transferred back to the States. The company provided him with housing. But since Ava is pregnant, they decided it would be better for her to live with our parents. They could take care of her during her pregnancy and after the birth. I asked my mom if she had time to take care of a baby. She answered uncertainly, "Yes, I'll have to. Ava is still so young. How will she manage with a baby alone? She needs help." I was speechless. Seriously? Ava is 29 and can't raise her own child? I was 27 when I gave birth. I managed on my own because my husband was busy. My mom didn't come to help either. She said I had to learn to raise a child on my own, as it's part of motherhood. And now that her golden girl is pregnant, she's ready to be her nanny. The hypocrisy is off the charts. Their favoritism was always obvious, so I always kept my distance. When I broke up with my husband, I rented a place and didn't go to live with my parents. But my dad insisted I move in with them, saying their house was too big for two and they would look after my daughter while I was at work. Or so he said. Instead of paying for a separate place, I could live with them and pay them rent. It seemed reasonable to me. Besides, I was in such an emotional mess that I couldn't think clearly. Pregnancy, postpartum depression, my husband's affair, divorce. So when my father offered to help, I gladly accepted. I moved in with them. Living with them was fine, except that the promised help with looking after my daughter turned out to be a lie. My mom only agreed to babysit a couple of times. I almost always had to call a nanny. My mom said she couldn't be a full-time nanny, so I should hire one, and she would just watch to see if the nanny was doing a good job. She wanted to be a live surveillance camera, lol. I thought it was better to have my mom around than to leave my daughter alone with a stranger, so I had a full-time nanny. It's so frustrating to see my mom running around my sister, bringing her food, medicine, and vitamins. She didn't do that for me. During my entire 9 months of pregnancy, she visited me maybe 2 or 3 times, and only once after the birth. Ever since I found out Ava was going to stay here, I've had a feeling they're up to something. But seriously, how did they even agree to let Ava live with them permanently? Our house isn't that big to accommodate everyone. I don't mind moving out, but my daughter is still too young to be left unsupervised. Even though my mom doesn't babysit her constantly, it was still calmer when she was around. If I move out, I'll have to have a nanny at home all the time, and that's a risk too, because you never know how safe it is to leave a child with a nanny. I know I'm an anxious mom, but damn, I'm a single mother, and the only joy in my life is my daughter. Yes, I tend to be overprotective, but what can I do? She's my life. Update 1. Thanks everyone for the advice. It helped me calm down a bit. My worst fear became a reality. 2 days after the post, I came home from work and saw that my things were already packed and on the porch, with my daughter sitting next to them. I asked her who did it, and she said that her aunt packed everything and sat her there. My daughter is a quiet and well-behaved child. The poor thing sat there for several hours waiting for me. I asked, "Where are Grandma and Grandpa?" She didn't answer, just hugged me and said she was waiting for me to come back because she was very scared with Aunt Ava. I asked if Ava had yelled at her or hurt her. She started crying and said her aunt was yelling something she didn't understand and was throwing my things around so violently that my daughter got scared. I burst into the room, screaming at Ava, demanding an explanation. She replied, "You're picking on a pregnant woman. I can call the cops." "You know I can do that, right?" I retorted. "I can also call the cops for you intimidating my daughter in my absence." She laughed and said, "Do you have proof? Mom was here when I was packing everything. You know whose side she'll take, right?" After those words, I realized it was useless to talk to her. I called for my mom, but she didn't answer. She was home but had locked herself in her room. Ava's malicious laughter made it clear that they were all in on it together. Ava smirked, looking at my helplessness, and said, "I'll give you a hint, you idiot. Nobody wants you here. We've packed everything for you. Even made it easier for you. Don't you see that I'm pregnant and I need space? My baby and I will live here. Now get your lazy ass up and get out." I said, "I'm not going anywhere. Unlike you, I'm not freeloading here. I'm paying for my accommodation." But before I could finish, she lunged at me, just like she did when we were kids. "You pay rent? Do you have a check or a contract?" "No, exactly. How long are you going to live off our parents and suck money from them? You pathetic loser. That's why your husband found comfort in another woman's bed. Because you're worthless. Disappear from here if you don't want to get punched in the face in front of your daughter." My daughter rushed to me and hugged me. She was terrified by the screaming and the whole tantrum. I packed my things into the car and left with my daughter. There was nothing more to discuss. My parents turned out to be pathetic cowards in front of her. She wasn't lying when she said my mom was there while she was packing my things. Moreover, my mom and dad probably helped her. She's 7 months pregnant, and she wouldn't have been able to move cabinets and carry heavy suitcases on her own. They were all in it together. Her husband has a job, and they could easily live separately. But no, she came to our parents and kicked me out. She's just obsessed with ruining my life. She left her husband in his company apartment and came here to torment me. I don't understand what I did to her for her to treat me this way, and why. My parents don't even try to say anything to her. I booked a hotel room for a week and started looking for a place. It was damn hard, working and apartment hunting at the same time. Finding a place in a week is almost impossible. One of my colleagues was looking for a roommate. I asked her to take me in. Nobody wants to live with a mom and a child. But I promised that my daughter wouldn't bother her and I would move out as soon as I found a place. She turned out to be kind and agreed. I've been living with her for 2 weeks now. I found a suitable place, both in terms of price and proximity to my work and my daughter's kindergarten. But the current tenant will only move out in a month. I've already booked everything and I'm waiting for the apartment to become available. It's been almost 3 weeks since I moved out, or rather, since I was thrown out. My daughter still flinches in fear that Aunt Ava will find us and harm us. My poor girl can't really explain what Ava did to her, but she sobs that she yelled at her, stared at her with crazy eyes, and threatened to hit her if she cried. She still cries and wets the bed out of fear of Ava. I don't know how to help my daughter forget that day. I feel so helpless when I see her get sad when she remembers it. I still can't comprehend how unsafe she felt back then. She experienced trauma while I wasn't around. And this woman is a future mother, yet she has no empathy for a child. I will never forgive her. And if I get a chance for revenge, I will crush her. Update 2. I was looking for an opportunity for revenge, and it came. As I wrote before, for the past year I was paying rent to live in my parents' house. My dad asked me to pay an extra $5,000, promising to pay it back later. I agreed. I wanted to help my parents. I didn't know that he was using my rent and that $5,000 to pay the mortgage. Now that I've moved out, of course, I haven't paid anything. My dad called me on the 10th in a panic. "Why didn't you transfer the money this month?" I got a message. from the bank that the auto debit failed due to insufficient funds, I just couldn't help but laugh. He was so sure that I would continue to pay rent even after I moved out that he didn't even check his balance or leave any money in reserve. I said, "Hello? I don't live in your house anymore. Your golden girl kicked me out, remember? So why would I pay rent?" He was silent for a second, then said, "But how am I supposed to pay the mortgage? I have almost no income right now. Sales at the store have dropped. Everything I earn goes to household expenses. I was using your rent and that $5,000 to make the mortgage payments." I replied, "That's not my problem. I don't owe you anything. I paid for my own living expenses and bought my own food. Go ask your narcissistic daughter for help. I'm sure she'll gladly help you out." And I hung up. An hour later, my mom called. She said, "Your father can't pay the mortgage, and instead of helping, you hung up on him. Have you forgotten that we were there for you when that loser husband of yours left you? Is this how you repay us? Swallow your stupid pride and transfer the money like before." I replied, "Do you hear yourself? You let me live with you because I was paying rent and you used that money for the mortgage. I hired a nanny when I needed help. You didn't help. What support are you even talking about?" She realized that I was no longer going to take this silently, like I did as a child. Now I know how to fight back. She lowered her tone, saying, "Honey, Eva is pregnant. She needs more space, so she asked you to move out temporarily. It's nothing to be offended about." I replied, "She didn't ask me. She threw me out while you all chose to close your eyes and mouths. She drove my daughter to hysterics, and I will never forgive you for that." She tried to justify her adored daughter again. "Well, she's just a little immature. Don't pay attention to her words. You're older and wiser. Show some generosity, forgive her, and transfer us the money. It's always about the money." I smirked and said, "I'm not that doormat you could wipe your feet on anymore. You always put Eva above me, and by allowing her to bully my daughter, you finally crossed all the lines. I never wanted to live with you, but I stayed only because I was afraid to leave my daughter with a nanny. And now she feels more unsafe around you than with a stranger." My mom started crying and apologizing. I interrupted her. "Stop. Your crocodile tears don't work on me anymore. I won't give you a single penny. And stop calling me." They haven't called me since. A month has passed since then. I think they're somehow managing the mortgage themselves, or their golden daughter is helping them. I don't care what's happening with them. I'm happy in my small, cozy home with my daughter. I hired a nanny who looks after her after kindergarten. The nanny is a middle-aged woman. She has a son who is 5 years older than my daughter. She brings him with her, and they have a great time together. It's so nice to come home to a happy and loved child. Life is really getting better. The main thing is to hang in there. Update 3. Hello everyone. First of all, thank you all for your support and kind words. It means a lot to me. And secondly, I apologize for not writing updates often. There are 2 reasons. First, there was nothing new. I completely cut off contact with my parents and my narcissistic sister. And second, I got very busy. I got a promotion this year, hooray! But of course, it comes with more responsibility. But my salary also increased. In short, I was swamped with work and motherly duties. And now I have an interesting update. Last week, my mom and dad showed up at my work. They didn't know where I lived, so they came to my work. I asked security not to let them in because I was busy and wasn't expecting anyone. Through the blinds, I saw them arguing with security and refusing to leave. They looked older, as if they had aged 10 years in one. My mom was holding a baby. I immediately knew it was Ava's child. I got curious and went out to them. Seeing me, they burst into tears. They came to me as their last hope to save the house. My dad said he hasn't been able to pay the mortgage for 7-8 months. All the savings he had, he spent in the first 2-3 months after I left. The bank gave them time, but they continued not to pay. Last month, they were evicted, and the house was put up for sale. Since then, they've been living in a shabby apartment. They came to ask me to save the house. I listened to them calmly and asked why their adored daughter wasn't helping them. They looked down and said that her husband had kicked her out because he caught her with a lover and the baby wasn't even his. All those stories about the transfer and company housing were lies. Her husband is still in Croatia, and they are in the process of a divorce. I was in shock, I said. And even after that, you continue to support her? My mom burst into tears and said, we didn't know about it. She didn't tell us anything. She said she came here to give birth. But when you moved out and we asked her to help with the mortgage, the truth came out. I was like, and what did she do when you found out the truth? Hugged her and cried. You continued to support her. That's why you're holding her baby. They said, but how could we leave her in that state? She had nowhere to go. We spent all our savings on her treatment and childbirth. They looked truly pathetic. I was silent, thinking about what to do. Without much thought, I asked, where is Ava now? At work. My mom muttered something, but my dad shot her a look and said, she's at home, refusing to go to work. My mom interrupted him. But how can she leave such a small baby and go to work? I laughed. Seriously, Mom? You're still justifying her? Her baby is already 7 or 8 months old. Women all over the world go back to work leaving 6-month-old babies at home. And Ava is no better. Considering her situation, she should have found a job a long time ago. They started begging me for help again. I said, I don't have that kind of money to save your house. My dad said that if I paid off the overdue payments, he could ask the bank to stop the sale and continue paying the rest in monthly installments. I replied, I don't have that kind of money. I spent all my savings on the deposit for my apartment and paying for my daughter's admission to elementary school. My mom made a displeased face. I said, Mom, instead of making faces, try to understand. I'm a single mother who is supporting both myself and my child completely on my own. After they left, I felt very sad. My manager noticed I had been away from my desk for over an hour and asked, what happened? I told her everything, and she gave me an idea. I called my dad and said I was ready to pay off the entire accumulated mortgage and continue paying the remaining part. But on one condition, he had to transfer the house to my name. This was my manager's suggestion. She advised me to buy the house. With my promotion and raise, I can totally afford the mortgage. I've been helping them pay it for so many years, and now I'm ready to pull the house out of debt again. It would be fair on their part. In return, I would let them stay in the house, but without their pathetic daughter. My dad fell silent and said he would discuss it with my mom and call back. I replied, take your time, although I'm not sure you have much time left. A week passed, and they never called back. That's the answer right there. They don't agree. They would rather watch their house be auctioned off and live in a dilapidated apartment than give up their golden girl and live in comfort. Well, that's their choice, and now they have to live with it. Today, on my way back from work, for a second, I thought about driving by their house to see if there was a for sale sign up yet, but I immediately dismissed the thought. I decided to cut all ties with them a year ago, and I'm going to stick to that decision. I don't need them in my life anymore. I'm happy and at peace living with my daughter and watching her grow. She's in elementary school now, and I'm incredibly proud of her. So, before we move on to the next story, I suggest you write your opinion on this one. Do you think the author was right to act this way? I personally think she was, of course. She was completely right. Maybe it was wrong to protest when that miracle sister arrived. It probably would have been better to just leave immediately. But on the other hand, in her place, I probably would have done exactly the same, knowing myself. Emotions are still a factor after all. On the other hand, it all helped her to dot the I's and understand what her parents were really worth.
Story 2. Brother wants to take my share of the inheritance. My grandmother left my brother and me equal stock portfolios when we were kids. My brother sold his when it was worth about as much as a car. I kept mine, and now it's worth serious money. Now my brother and his girlfriend want my half. When my brother was 16 and I was 4, our grandmother left us a stock portfolio. As soon as we were old enough, the stocks were transferred to our own accounts, and within 4 years, my brother had dipped heavily into his and bought a new Honda. I had known about my portfolio for much longer than he had, even before it became mine, and I had been watching it grow ever since I understood what it was. By the time I was given full control, it was already worth a ridiculous amount because most of the money was invested in Apple. And I still can't decide whether to use the funds because my father has been drilling into my head since childhood that I should let them grow until I'm 40. I barely talk to my brother. He's made a lot of mistakes over the years, and we didn't really grow up together, so everything I know about him comes to me from my father. His new girlfriend works in law, and I received an official letter from both of them, saying that the investments made by our grandmother were intended for both of us, not just me, and that his share was only about $15,000. The amount is correct, but my portfolio was also worth that much when he spent his. Now they want half of the current value of mine. And his girlfriend informed me that if I don't give them access, the legal fees and fines will eat up my share and I'll be left with nothing. The dividends alone cover a huge part of my expenses and they've bailed me out more than once. If half of it disappears, I'll have to tighten my belt. I know it sounds selfish, but I've really gotten used to this extra income that provides a safety net when I want to move somewhere. I've already lived in 4 states by my own choice, and I want to travel more before I settle down, if I ever settle down. Update. Mostly good news. I talked to my dad and hired my own lawyer. I got the timeline with the stocks mixed up, but the gist is the same. What my brother and I inherited from our grandmother was originally part of our grandfather's portfolio. He was the one who was good with finances. After his death, my grandmother looked after the investments. She set up the accounts for my brother herself and gave him control over his share. She didn't have time to do that for me before she died. I thought she had already set everything up for me and passed it on to my father before she died. But in reality, the stocks were listed in her will, and she left everything she owned to my father with instructions that when I grew up and was capable of managing them myself, I should receive an amount equivalent to $15,000, just like my brother. There was no trust. She just trusted my father. My father did the right thing. He opened accounts for me and gave me control 6 years ago. Moreover, he added some of his own stocks to give me an extra boost. My father admitted that he yelled at my brother last year when he asked for money again. He had supported him many times over the years, but at some point, he just got tired. My brother found out that I still had the investments because my father used me as an example in a conversation about how he should have managed his money. That's how my brother found out that I still had my stocks and that they had grown. Based on all this information, the lawyer said that I'm in the clear, but the case won't go to court because my brother's girlfriend was just a paralegal. I say was because the firm where she worked apologized to my lawyer and informed him that she was fired immediately. It turned out the letter I received was forged. In it, she gave herself a higher position than she actually had and changed some of the contact information. A week after she was fired, my brother came to me begging for money. His girlfriend has serious debts, and she decided to try to trick me out of my money and failed. It was hard for me to refuse my brother again and again. And if his girlfriend hadn't interfered and asked for a 5-figure sum, maybe I would have given him something. But the next morning, I found that all my tires were slashed. Yeah, screw him. I don't feel sorry for him anymore. Your comments under the post made me realize that I don't understand a damn thing about stocks, dividends, and money in general. I made most of my decisions with my father's help, and his advice has worked out great so far. But not because I knew what I was doing, but because I just didn't get it and relied on him. I signed up for a financial advisor to make the most of what I have. Thanks everyone for the advice. Well, that's all. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Watch our previous video, which you will see right here, and good luck to you.